detective, thrill me.
Thanks for joining us again for pretty much the second part of our Versus sort of episode. We did Judge Dredd last week.
Ooh.
This week we'll do the 2002, I guess you'd call it a reboot, would you? Dredd? From 2012, my apologies. 2012.
Fuck.
Before we get into it, let's do a little bit of up or down. A couple of huge trailers dropped in the last couple of days. First one is It, Chapter 2. So they actually had the teaser one, which was kind of like a whole scene.
Yeah.
Which I liked a lot, but it was really good to see the whole thing sort of, they give you a little bit more and they show you, the kids are back and they sort of showcase some of that, you sort of see the older, as they're aged up, and I think they've done a fucking fantastic job casting-wise. Yeah. But you see more Pennywise, and I loved it. Thumbs up. Definite thumbs up.
Yeah, more of the same with me, man. Because I love the first one, as in the first remake. Not so much the first one. The TV series, not as good. But loved it. And this, it just looks like they've just nailed the whole tone. The casting of the adults is brilliant. Bill Hader and who's the redheaded?
Jessica Chastain.
Jessica Chastain, like that, they're just spot on. And that scene you're talking about in the first trailer was really good. But some of the stuff in this one, just bits and pieces of things happening where Pennywise is obviously messing with things again, and that the sound design for it sounds unreal. Whatever they're doing with the stuff in the background, I'm super, super keen.
I'm super psyched.
Yeah, we should do a cinema trip for this one, I think.
Yes, I think so.
After my feelings on It Chapter 1, the trailer for this could have been the quality of like the Cats trailer or something, and I still would have been up.
I didn't see that. That was scary.
What about the Dark Crystal one?
Oh, that? No, I didn't. Fuck.
Dark Crystal remake? Oh, mate, it's creepy as shit.
A lot of characters.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm definitely up. Like, the quality still looks there. Normally the teasers where you get nothing. I love that the teaser was this whole section of this scene, and then the trailer was just little shots of things that are going to happen, and you're just like, oh man, I can't wait to see what that is.
Yeah.
Just a quick note, I believe Henry Bowers is in the trailer.
Yes, I did see him, yes.
So after our little discussion about what they're going to do next time, it looks like he is going to be in there. So.
Yeah, in the psych ward or whatever.
There you go.
Didn't you mention that there's a little bit of money discussions about the It film?
I think the producers of the TV series have gone to court because they believe they should be entitled to be up to a 10% cut of the profits or something. What? They had the rights to do any spin-offs, sequels or remakes. But I think the issue is, like, how do you call it a remake when it's just like, no, we're taking King's book and doing it again?
Yeah.
Like, I guess that's the issue.
Is it a remake of what they've done? Or
yeah, because really there's not a whole lot that comes from the TV series, and they've basically said, look, it's inarguable that it's not a remake, because it's kind of like, well, it's actually arguable because you took it from a book. Yeah, their clown doesn't look like your clown.
Yeah,
it's just the comparisons are inevitable, right?
Yeah, there's going to be.
You can see how they've sort of cashed in on. That's
how they were paid, weren't they?
I think they got $1 million. I think they got $1 million
back in the day, but money's run dry, and so. As I was saying to you, Jared, I wonder if King fumes that these fucking pricks are all picking, all these parasites are coming out of the woodwork for money when he gets cut a slice, a big slice, but not the kind of money he deserves.
Yeah. Like it's a story that they took from him. I mean, that's the thing. Like, I don't know how you can. Yeah, I can understand you would be upset if you weren't allowed to be involved in doing it again. But it's like 20 years down the track, that ship's sailed. And it's not your story.
Yeah,
that's what I don't get.
Even though you signed a contract at the time over the rights to the film stuff, but ultimately the book belongs to someone else.
Exactly, and some of the things you did in the movie are closer to the book than the original show. So I don't know. I just hate these things because, like, you look at the Friday the 13th one. And Sean Cunningham and co just will not cut Victor Miller a slice, so we have nothing now. The game stopped. we can't get action figures now. We can't get like nothing. So now it's just like if this shit happens with.
Yeah,
I guess the good thing about it is once Chapter 2's done, it's gone for a while.
Yeah.
Like you can't really see him doing a sequel or something unless King decided to write a book.
Yeah.
And so, I guess that the
You have to get back on the coke.
Yeah, the only positive thing is that it's not going to hinder
Ooh.
that. It's not going to hinder that. We're going to get the movie, and then it's going to do it, I suppose.
Am I seeing what I'm seeing on your T-shirt there?
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Brilliant.
Crisscross, mate. They were huge for about
jump.
6
So we're
months.
backwards jeans.
Backwards.
Oh, what a time to be alive.
But yes, are you an up or down
Oh,
on it?
I'm fanboying.
Yeah?
Fanboy. Yeah, I'm really keen to see it. I'll attend the cinema.
Okay.
I'll take a break from Love Island for this.
Oh, but it might interfere with getting back with the ex or whatever you're currently on. Okay, here's the big one for me. I shit all over Top Gun 2, I believe. I think you took a fair size dump on it as well, Jared.
Probably.
The trailer for it dropped, I think it was 2 days ago.
Yeah.
It was at Comic-Con, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's more of a teaser. Would that be fair?
Well, there's a bit in it though.
Yeah, there was a fair bit in it.
Yeah.
No Val Kilmer, unfortunately.
Fat Kilmer. That's what you want.
I'm all over it. Like, the footage that they showed was phenomenal. Like the flight stuff was what made the first one, and now they've
This is up 1,000.
yeah, because they can do anything they like now. They
Yeah,
can
some of
just
those
get-
shots of like where it's taking off and it's him in the cockpit and stuff, that was just awesome.
Coming off the deck of the ship, and then
Yeah.
where he's flying over the salt flats and lifts up like the It looks really cool, but also, as I said to Adam before, it feels like they've nailed the tone of it correctly. Like he's speaking to the superior officer, and he's still being a smart ass little prick and
Yeah.
that sort of stuff. Like him dusting off the bike.
Yeah.
I nearly had to take my
and
pants
the
off.
leather jacket.
Yes,
Leather
Tom.
jacket.
But I love that he
Pulls
has
his
an
glasses
advanced.
out.
Yeah,
He has an
an
advanced.
advanced.
He's
Yeah.
not like training anyone else. They're basically just
Yeah.
like I love the line about you've been
best
doing
line,
your best to kill yourself or whatever. Like, but you're still here, and it's just like that's exactly where he should be. He
Yeah.
shouldn't have been teaching anyone else what to do or like.
Well, as we worked out when we watched the first movie, he was the biggest liability in the fucking.
Yeah, he's actually the bad guy. We've discussed it. Valkyrie was 100% right.
And Ed Harris with a little bit of gravitas. Although, oh jeez, how old's Ed Harris?
He's pushing it.
Hell.
He still works though. Like he still does.
Oh yeah,
Westworld
no,
and
look,
stuff,
I
so-
love Ed Harris. I'm just saying he was looking a bit.
He's got a
When
better
he's
face.
doing with
He
But mate,
resembles dust at this point.
you look at Ed Harris in The Rock. He already looked old,
yeah,
and that
true.
was 20 years ago.
Yeah, true.
So
I shouldn't expect anything less from Ed these days. I'm all over it. You're obviously all over it.
I'm super duper duper excited, and I was massively skeptical before I clicked on it. It was on a Facebook thing, like here's the trailer for Top Gun 2, and I'm like, Maverick, this is going to be shit house. And I clicked on it, and as it kept going, I was like, oh, this actually looks really cool. Like my vision, I was thinking, like, oh, this is going to be like that movie Stealth with that Josh, whatever, and
That's
like
our next film.
Jessica Biel and stuff like that. That movie
David
was
Fox.
dog shit
Yeah.
with the whole high tech dogfight bullshit. I thought this might be that, and it just looks so much better. If the movie's half as good as the camera work and the visuals in the trailer, we're gold.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm in.
You're in.
Looks good. So you guys nailed it.
I also loved just for more of a callback is that at the start it has the Jerry Bruckheimer's
The lightning thing.
but it's the old one
Yeah.
when it was him and Don Simpson.
Yep.
Because they did the first one.
I noticed it's the same, but it's sort of different.
Yeah, it
It's
didn't have
clearly
any at the
callback,
bottom,
though.
but it's a callback to that because I think they did the same thing with Enemy of the State
Oh,
because
right.
was still been alive when they started picking up the script and everything.
Yeah.
So he's still listed as a producer in it, which I thought was cool.
Yeah.
And I think they're obviously doing something similar here, which I thought was cool.
I just noticed, I'm like, geez, I haven't seen that for a
Yeah.
while. I couldn't think why.
Long time.
That makes sense, yeah.
So we're all over that. News. Big news. Right? For us horror fans. Back-to-back Halloween films. In 2020 on October 16, and then it's called Halloween Kills. And then October 15, 2021. It's Halloween Ends. And they're both the same people who did the version that we got before, the writer, director, and all that are back. Johnny Carpenter's probably gone, just cut me a check and.
He's
He's back?
involved again. He's back. Yeah.
Well, he probably
which
liked that.
basically means cut me a check and I'll do a couple of interviews.
You can put my name on it.
Oh, I loved it. Yeah, he'll be just there going, "Oh, the script's brilliant." Then 10 years later, shit house.
Yeah.
But you never know because they nailed the first one again.
They did. But yeah, I'm super excited. I think it's just because normally I wouldn't be this excited because I'd be thinking, oh fuck, they've given it to someone
Just
else
cash
and I'll
it
just
in.
ruin it. But it's if the whole group's got back together and I think that at least says they'll be trying to take it in a direction that that first film sort of went. And where do we go from here? They might at least put some time in and try and work it out rather than just cash in. So I'm super interested.
Yeah, I think because the room's been going around for about a month and it was going to be back to back, and that David Gordon Green was in. But I remember when I was talking to you about it, you were like, "Yeah, Kenny Powers back." And he was the key piece for you for some reason.
Well, Kenny, I need him back.
But yeah, he's back. Super excited.
They've got other writers involved.
Yeah, I hope they're not. Really settled on the titles because they sound like the Machete movies. Machete kills and Machete ends. You could imagine that being the titles.
Maybe they'll change that.
Super excited.
On smaller news, Nash Bridges is coming back as a television movie.
Who's in that?
Don Johnson's still in it.
No. How old is he now?
He's Ed Harris old, I'd say.
Easy.
Should we be bringing back
What's
Walker?
Nash Bridges back?
Well, I want Walker Texas Ranger and Renegade.
Renegade.
No, but hang on. At least Walker Texas Ranger had some kind of like cultural touchstone. Like it was a joke at least. No, but it was as a joke, right? Like the fucking dude doing roundhouse kicks in jeans with a cowboy hat on. That had something. No one remembers Nash Bridges. When's the last time you spoke about it?
How many seasons?
When?
How many seasons of Nash Bridges were there?
2 max.
No way. There was about 6.
Really?
Yes,
Mate,
there's
that's about
100
7 too
eps. I
many.
guarantee it.
That's
100
rank.
I reckon. If there, Walker Texas Ranger had 10 seasons.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Jesus Christ.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't make any sense.
None of this makes sense. Mate, when is the last time
Even
someone
an idiot
mentioned
like
Nash
me would have
Bridges?
dropped off after season 4.
Don't know if that's true.
So Nash Bridges is back as a telly film. Bring on Walker Texas Ranger and Renegade. Quite frankly, I'd love to see Bobby Six Killer. Where's Bobby Six Killer at?
Well, this is
20
just
years in the
spin-off.
future.
Didn't we just have a viewing? We just had a sighting of
Six
Bobby
Killer.
Six
That's
Killer.
what it is
something.
called, Six Killer.
Commando was in. Bobby Six.
No, like an old Six Killer somewhere. I thought we saw him.
You saw it in Forgetting Sarah Marshall, I think.
That's what it was. Yeah, he was a bar owner in that. That's right. Yeah.
Well, there you go. That's where he's a bar owner somewhere.
Yeah. He's pulled out of retirement, but was it Lorenzo Lamar?
Lorenzo Lamar was
Yes.
in Renegade.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
Look, I don't know why.
golden age of
I
television.
brought that up, but quite frankly, I got plenty of
Mate, Nash Bridges.
That used to be when Renegade
Saw
was
Miami
on.
Vice jerseys from
From Miami.
and then they decided we might need to bring back Nash Bridges.
Yeah, that's like the 7 degrees of separation of like Miami Vice jersey, Miami Vice, Don Johnson, 3 other projects, Nash Bridges. How do you get
What
to
can
Nash
we get for
Bridges?
the price? Nash Bridges.
I guarantee
But
Don
see,
was happy for the phone
but
call.
isn't Don working?
Doing what?
Well, last time I saw him
From Dusk Till Dawn, he's
doing
working with
the thing, Dusty
Tarantino.
Oh, okay,
Dawn.
yeah.
Yep. Yes.
He doesn't need Nash Bridges, does he?
That's his heyday though. That's him going back to the glory days.
Fucking hell.
Well, with the time slot that used to be on, you'd sometimes get Walker Texas Ranger on at like 10:30 on Channel 9. Then you flick over to Channel 10 and find Renegade at 11:30. And then they followed up with Pensacola Wings of Gold. That'll be next on the remake.
Hey guys, I've got to say
Surely there's a
though,
market.
Don Johnson's making a comeback. It gives me a little bit of hope for a Harley Davidson, the Marlboro Man circle.
Mickey Rourke.
Mickey Rourke, Don
Mickey Rourke
Johnson.
no longer resembles Mickey Rourke. So
I think Don Johnson, I'll bet.
Jesus, they'd be going on a trip somewhere for some bloody surgery on their faces.
That's the most random pull I can think of for a long time. Nash Bridges.
Well, I've forgotten about Nash Bridges.
Everyone has.
Don Johnson hasn't.
I guarantee it was his idea. Hey guys, I did this show once. No one knows about it. Let's remake it.
Well, it's really the time for that shit. Everyone's coming back with, these rebooted properties and all this kind of bullshit.
Veronica Mars.
Veronica Mars, yes. 90210, I believe's got something coming out. So everybody's fucking coming in with this crap.
Do they know Luke Perry's
Yeah,
dead?
but we're really digging the depths if Nash Bridges is in the...
No, we're not. I'm telling you, Nash Bridges.
Can they do a Magnum PI?
They have. They've done a new Magnum
I
PI.
think next week we need
Does he
to...
have a mustache?
No, he doesn't have a tash, and it's not.
Well, then it's not Magnum
There's no
PI.
involvement from Silly.
Does he have a dodgy Ferrari?
Yeah, he's still got the Ferrari.
Oh, wow.
Next week we need to have a competition
MacGyver.
for...
They redid MacGyver.
Oh, that was terrible, though. That was really bad.
Yeah, it was very.
He was like a little kid.
Yeah, like he was kind of like a teenager.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need a competition for the most obscure show that we need to reboot for next week. And
Pensacola Wings of Gold is right there, I can tell you that.
Did I see something the other day about a live-action casting for Thundercats?
Maybe.
Yeah,
I saw something about that the other day. I'm like, really?
probably. Well, after Cats, it's not going to happen.
That might have been it. They're like,
If they're going to use similar special effects, they should be shot. Honestly, that's
the musical. Thundercats the musical would be great.
Thundercats the musical.
All right. On that note, on the Nash Bridges note,
Blown away. I can't even explain that.
here's the trailer for 2012's Dredd.
This is Dredd. Judgment time.
To betray the law, to betray the city.
The sentence is death.
We got trouble.
Yeah. Herbs were uncooperative.
Dread 3D. Rated R. Starts September 21st.
Dredd from 2012, directed by Pete Travis, who gave us Vantage Point, which was actually alright. I remember Vantage Point. Produced by Alex Garland, Andrew McDonald, and Alon Reish. It's written by Alex Garland, who wrote Ex Machina, based on characters created by John Wagner and Carlos Esquerra. Stars Carl Urban as Judge Dredd, Olivia Thirlby as Anderson, Lena Headey as Mama, and Wood Harris as Kay. Bit of trivia: Michael Biehn auditioned for the role, followed closely by Michael Norrie, I'm sure.
Well, I can tell you, I watched Michael Biehn's film that he made. For some reason, he's not getting any work.
What movie did he make?
Oh, I can't even remember what it was called, but it had Danielle Harris in it, and
God.
yeah, it was terrible. And did you also know that Carl Urban basically said Alex Garland essentially directed it?
Did he?
Yeah, last year he did an interview. He said you can pretty much tag it as Alex Garland's first directorial effort.
Well, I like Alex Garland, so that makes
Yeah.
sense.
And Pete Travers was cut out of post-production.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Which is funny because the movie's turned out good.
Yeah.
Usually those stories come out when the movie's not so good. But
Yeah, but when the name Stallone's not involved, you can pretty be sure it should be alright.
yeah, so
Matty-
I don't know the full details, but that's what he said. So.
Matty, give us your thoughts, mate.
I got pulled out of this by a few little things that happened early on.
Boo.
So
Yeah, you dildo.
Oh, back.
So I wasn't as into this as some of you guys from the conversations we've had in between. But look, it had some awesome action. The whole premise of it is really, really solid. And I just thought some of the things that annoyed the bejesus out of me going into it really pulled me out of it. But overall, solid movie, right?
Jared?
Yeah, look, I think it's really, really well done considering the budget was pretty light on. Yeah, there is a couple of things that I don't like so much, and I think one of the things that really hurts is that it came out the same or similar time as The Raid did, because their premises are so similar and a couple of things that happen are so similar. But all in all, I think it does a far better job of establishing the character than Stallone's did, and I think they do some really smart things with Anderson. I really liked her character a lot. Wasn't so big on Mama. I think Lena Headey was excellent, but I've got a couple of issues with that character in general. Overall, I really enjoyed it.
Yep. Give up?
Yeah, similar stuff to Jared, really. I prefer this one a lot, and as you sort of referenced the budget stuff, you can see where they've cut back on a few things. They've tried to get more for less with some of the special effects stuff.
Blood splatter.
The blood splatter stuff's really, really rough sometimes. It looks like they've just done it with a red crayon. But the slow-mo visual stuff, I think they use it a little bit too often.
Yeah.
But it's effective when they do.
It's
do it
very
the first time.
effective at times.
That first death scene with those guys.
Great in 3D. When
Oh,
it was
you
in
would be.
3D, it was great.
The Mama scene with the bath water and stuff would have looked really cool.
Yeah.
And the sparkle and just how rich it looks. And then when you go to other parts of the movie when it's really dark and gritty and like the colour palette was really good. And I just prefer this one. Like I watched it with Riley today and I sort of said to her, this really isn't for you. She was sort of just sitting there in the background and she was watching it. And I'm like, how are you even, like, she's not a big fan of gratuitous gore. And this has a little bit of it, if I can say that. It's massively gory. And she just said, like, it's on, but it's actually not a bad movie. So for her to watch this, pretty big tick for it. So definitely better than the Sly version. It's not even in the same fruit stall, this one. It's on its own little level, this one.
I totally agree. It's simple yet very, very effective. Carl Urban is excellent. He such a great choice, and I think he absolutely nails it. I also like Anderson. I think that obviously they had to have that to have some more character work and some arc because Dredd has no arc.
No, he doesn't. Yeah.
He has none. But
he's got the smallest little bit about the grey areas.
Yeah, that's it. Use of slow mo. Like you, I think that's one of my dislikes is that it's a little bit too much. It's used a little bit too much. But there's one sequence in particular where he throws the concussion. He blows the door open with the concussion thing, and then comes in, and they do it kind of slow mo when people are getting shot, and then fast motion when he's firing. It's just I thought it was.
Even that first bit when you see the blast wave hit the guy's chest and his skin's going, you're like, I was waiting for him to start disintegrating. That was the only problem. I thought maybe that'd do a bit more damage, but
I too had some minor quibbles about the villain, and also I think Wood Harris's involvement is kind of there wasn't really a lot there, but overall it doesn't diminish it in any way for me. Like it's still a really, really effective film. Let's get into the likes. I think we can safely say that Carl Urban is a far better Judge Dredd than Sylvester Stallone. Is that
I would
fair?
say so, yes. Although it's really funny to see him now, like when you see him in like the Marvel movies where he's got a bit of a comedic element to him and he doesn't have the mask on and you're kind of like, that's Dredd? Yeah. But yeah, he was pretty good in this. A lot of facial contorting to make it
looks
look
like an old
Italian.
Italian. Looks like an old Italian. His frown is ridiculous.
But basically,
it's got to be. It's got to be a bit over the top because that's what the character is. Like like you see the pictures of the character and his frown and his sneer are so over the top that you kind of have to portray it somehow. Like,
but it's exactly what I envisioned it to be. Now, I didn't read the comics, but I know roughly what Judge Dredd looked like in those comics, but I never read any of them. So to me, this is what I anticipated when Judge Dredd in '95. This is what I was expecting. But I think he absolutely nails it. He's spot on,
and he's consistent the whole time. That's not the difference. There's no bit where his helmet stays on.
Yeah,
you never see Carl Urban's eyes the whole way through the movie.
Yeah.
And that helps because then he's
his
also
premise works to that better.
Yeah.
Like what you said, Stallone gets hamstrung by the fact that he gets imprisoned, and they basically take off all the gear and turn him into generic sort of Stallone.
Yeah.
They try to give him human traits though where he shouldn't have them.
There's like a reason that you don't see his face. It's because there's no he's got nothing to show the emotion. He's he looks like a robot because that's kind of how he acts. Like it's black and white, so it's there was a purpose for it. Which in the Stallone movie we got it for 10 minutes and then there you go. You can see his mug for the rest of the movie.
And it helps that Carl Urban's not like he's not a superstar or anything like that where bums were going on seats
to see his
Carl
face.
Urban is there.
Well, quite honestly, I knew the name, but when I saw Dredd, I was just thinking, I can't even put a face to the guy. I've heard the name Carl Urban, but I can't really put a face to it. And so when I saw Dredd, that's what he was like.
Yeah. Simple, effective plot. Exactly what you said. Very similar to the Raid, which probably undercuts it slightly. I think the Raid we worked out the Raid came out the year before.
Yeah.
So
and had the same had the similar things in like putting the hit out over the PA. And, but I mean, it's a large scale game of death. Like it's not like the Raid was super original in that.
No, they're both derivative for that. Yeah.
So. But it's just like that idea, if you're going for a pretty sort of bare bones kind of plot it always seems to work. If you
I
can
got
build
so
up the
excited.
actions around it, action sequences
So
around it.
excited watching her announce that on the PA.
Yeah,
I was just
yeah.
like, you are fucked, mate.
Yeah, and that's kind of what it does. Like, you know, in the Bruce Lee one, all you know is like he's got to go up all these levels, and who's going to be on the next one. Like, it just works. It just kind of works. I could have done with a little bit of more variation through the levels somehow, but like when they showed those guys that used to run the towers, I was kind of like, I wish they just left them and she was running them now.
Yeah.
So each one, it was kind of like the Warriors. You're working your way through a different turn.
Every time they got above the next, took out that crew, the next crew steps in and they look different and they use different weaponry and things like that. I think the budgets probably perhaps may have had something to do with some of that, to try and avoid, having some of them large scale fights and stuff, because you notice there aren't a lot of that. There's small sort of skirmishes and they kind of end pretty quickly, barring that one with the miniguns.
Miniguns, that's the only big one.
Yeah.
That minigun sequence, though, again, visually pretty good, but strategically, you've got to worry about the structural integrity of the building after that.
I thought exactly the same thing. I'm like, she's exposing walls, ripping down frames.
Everything's coming down after that. She's cut half the building out. And they're only halfway up at that point.
Didn't it just make her look like a complete twit? Like, that's not...
No, but to me,
You've got a whole
that was the
army at
one
your
thing that
disposal.
worked for her, that sequence, because it was like, she doesn't give two shits who she fucking kills.
Yeah.
She just wants these two judges
It
taken
displayed
out.
the ruthlessness, but it didn't make her look like a master strategist.
She's she's not competent.
She wasn't thinking.
Yeah. And the best part about that, afterwards, he walks out and throws old mate off the pitch and just walks back.
He's just going to say to her,
Yeah.
fuck you. Yeah, basically. I love that. I thought that was fantastic.
That was awesome.
He just kind of walks out and throws that dude off the thing and just walks off.
Because one thing you can't do with the miniguns, you can't point him down, so he knows he's safe.
Yeah. That was cool.
Having a voiceover at the start to give us a little explanation about Mega City and what's happened to everything. This is how you do it, Sylvester. You do not require James Earl Jones plus a scroll to explain some gobbledygook that makes no sense. In this one, he gives us maybe a sentence or two.
A couple
where
of
he just
visual
explains what the Mega City one. You got
Fringe
all
of the
these
city,
people.
right?
It's
Funnily
everyone's
enough-
crammed in there.
Funnily enough, he touched on a few of the same things.
He does, yeah.
But he
It's just
a
far
little
better,
bit different.
less clunky.
Yeah.
less clunky.
I really liked, like I mentioned Anderson, but just the idea of putting him with a rookie who's on like a pass-fail just perfectly fits with him, because his whole idea is guilty, not guilty.
Yeah.
Like there's this whole black and white about he doesn't see, he doesn't see the grey areas in anything, but he's forced to see it with as the movie goes along. This is his only arc, is that he's forced to see it with his partner, who by the measures that he stands up against fails, but does a friggin' awesome job.
Yeah.
So
like
it's
when
kind of forced to, say she didn't hit this, she didn't tick the box, and I need to tick the boxes, but she does the job.
She did a great job.
Yeah, like the Domhnall Gleeson sequence when she knows what has happened to him and why he's doing
and lets him
what
go.
he's doing, and she lets him go, and he goes, "What are you doing? That guy's guilty."
Yeah.
And she said, "That's not how. Like,
She says
it's
he's
not
a victim.
straightforward. He's a victim, not a perp." Yeah.
Yeah. That was interesting stuff. And I thought having her and that mind stuff that she was doing, again, something slightly different, something sort of extra to add to the table. And some of those sequences were kind of cool.
Yep.
Where she goes into his head and starts mucking around with him.
Especially when she goes right in to get the thing, and
the code,
like that sequence is really cool. I don't know if that's how psychics work. Like being able to say, "Oh, this is what he's thinking" is one thing, but then being able to go in and manipulate it and make him
I
piss his
think
pants.
the way psychics work is they go, I'm seeing the letter M.
M&M's!
Yeah.
You're a genius!
You had a family member who's died recently. Was that the letter? Yeah.
I'm seeing the colour yellow.
I feel like I don't feel like she was. Yeah, I don't know. I'll talk about that later.
She's a mutant. Anyway, they sort of say a mutant, so it's probably a different thing. But Olivia Thirlby hasn't done much.
No.
I actually like that. She was really good in Juno.
I thought she was excellent in this, but
And
she
she's good.
seems to be hanging around the kind of independent
And
pictures
some TV stuff as well. I had a look.
Yeah.
I sort of looked it up to see what she's been doing, because
Yeah,
she's pretty good, man.
I thought she was excellent. Go into like a specific on the intro. Fuck, I love the hot shot.
Yeah, I like that.
Like it did a pretty good
Hot
job
shot.
of like it didn't show much, but it introduced him and that he's like you're guilty or you're not, you're right or you're wrong. Bang, hot shot, which looked really cool. And then I love the, pretty subtle, but the little announcement, the mall will be opening in 30 minutes, and then they start just sweeping up around the blood and stuff. I thought that was a really tidy little intro.
But I also like the fact that when he's it quickly establishes in that first that voiceover that the sort of who the bloke is and what the city is, and then we're straight into the action, and then we have that bit where she sort of says, "Do you require backup?" And he's like, "Nah."
Yeah, in the bike chase.
I just do. I'm just a man. Don't worry about backing me up. I just take care of this stuff. And I think that's it's a good way to showcase it to Judge Dredd. He's sort of the king of the judges, so to speak, which I thought was cool. It was one line that just sort of showcases it, and it was really good. And I love the hot shot. I thought it was very clever sort of stuff. And again, I love the gun. I love the fact that the gun has all those different styles and all that sort of stuff.
I thought that was a bit of a callback to probably the Sly one. It was kind of poking fun at it a little bit because he started. It sounded like he was giving him a one-liner.
Yeah.
He says do your best hot shot or whatever, and the guy goes, "What'd you say?" And he goes, "I said hot shot," and then he just shoots him. Yeah. But I don't know how that's safer than just shooting him in the head with a normal bullet.
No,
if I get shot,
he had to get.
Is there a chance that he just clenches up and shoots her in the face?
Yeah. And what if his teeth are gritted or something?
It just bounces off. There's a few holes in that strategy. He's not a strategic genius, so we'll cover that later on. But
it looked visually it was pretty great.
Like you get shot in the mouth with a flare, you're just as likely to pull up on that trigger and shoot that girl's head off. I don't know if that's safer, but anyway.
He's probably done it before.
You think you shot someone in the mouth with a hot shot before?
But that's when we first see the slow-mo, in the chase where they're in the car.
Yep.
And again, that was a cool way of doing it because that only actually lasted for about 10 seconds. It just shows them take the shot, the slow-mo, and then everything kind of goes really weird, and then it goes back to the chase.
Yeah.
And I thought, that's a cool way of just giving us an understanding of what the stuff does here.
Yeah, they just overuse it later on, but it still looks cool.
Giving it to those dudes and then chucking them off the...
That's cold.
Yeah, but it's a pretty ruthless way to handle some customer service issues in the drug business.
Yeah, that scene too was one of those, when you look at it happening on the screen, especially when it was in 3D, but when you look at it happening on the screen, it's one of those ones that gives you a little bit of a shiver because it's so...
high.
It shows them how high it is and then dropping them over and you kind of just it's like doing the leap of faith in some of those Assassin's Creed games.
Yeah.
Oh, geez, I'm right up here and getting a little bit of a...
And they hit the ground like
wet sacks, yeah.
That one I love. They did it later with Mama as well, but when they transition from their point of view to the ground and they still keep the slow-mo and show them kind of coming down and then it goes back to normal, people going about their business and... it's right next to them.
Props out of the bloody sky.
Nasty.
The homeless guy at the front of Peach Trees.
Has
His sign says, "Will debase myself for credit."
For credit. I don't want any more details.
Hey, I know, what are the details on this debasing stuff you're talking about? Is there a scale on credits?
He gets treated pretty harshly.
Told to bring that fuck off.
Yeah, I was kind of like, do we really need to, squash the homeless guy with a gate? I also got a chuckle when I saw his sign and Dredd's like, "Don't be here." He's kind of like,
I kind of like that though because it was like, even though he is a hard ass, and you're like, man, you don't need to talk to a homeless bloke like that.
Yeah,
but it just shows there's a reason for it.
I was thinking to myself too, he'll be right. He'll get a couple of square meals. He probably wants to be in the cube, the ISO cubes.
Yeah.
The other thing was that those blast doors, all the other ones come down super slow, and then that one just comes down and just pancakes him. The other ones are super, just real methodical, and that one just squished just like grape.
Yeah, go. Sorry. I'm getting to the negatives, like a chill.
Yeah, settle down.
There aren't any,
Matthew. Issuing the challenge. Mama issuing the challenge.
That was good.
Over the PA, that was awesome. Seeing people sort of scattering and getting even the med guy, you see him go into his little base.
And they rock up at that point and he says...
I assumed that everyone would be against him.
Yeah.
I think they did a really good job later on of having a couple of people help him out, actually.
Yeah, well, I thought showing the med guy doing it was kind of like, oh, okay, because this guy was right by their side when they came in and giving them all a rundown of who's in the building. But then when the spotlight's on him, even he's like, yeah, I'm not helping you.
Yeah.
Well, he's picking a losing battle. He thinks at that point, there's no way you get out of this. I'm not picking
the way
your
he
side.
says it too. I'm not picking a side.
It also ups
You're
the stakes.
as good as dead.
Yeah.
It
There
ups
is no
the stakes
side.
for them because now they've got no safe haven. Like, you know, they make their way up to the med centre and then they basically get told, nah, can't help you.
Yeah.
And the stakes are raised again because now they've got everyone on their back and they've got no way to sort of take a break and regroup and everything like that. They've got to stay on the run. And I like that. I thought that was it's a good way to do it. You keep the tension going.
Yeah.
You know, you keep Dredd and Anderson basically with these people at their heels the whole time. Yeah, that slow-mo bit where he blows the door open and then just cuts loose in there and you see bullets going through Blake's faces and, you know, and then he makes Anderson shoot that bloke. She doesn't really want to, but she does.
And then the callback later on when she's in the apartment.
Yeah, it's all that stuff was just really awesome.
Yeah, that whole scene in the apartment where she first kind of really displays what she can do to the full effect. I just thought it was awesome. I love how that scene unfolded, how she kind of, you know, it looks like they're fucked and then she just kind of, you know, goes in.
Kathy, open the door.
Kathy, open the door, yeah. And then when she gets in there, she's like, tell him what you said. Tell him what you're thinking.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm not going to tell anyone because if you go up, you're not going to be
near my family.
Starting a gunfight, basically. And then, you know, obviously then Anderson realises she's already killed the guy. And I was just like, fuck, that's a really good scene.
Yeah.
That was I really liked that. It started to, you know, it showed what she could do. It started to show her kind of problems with the job and how, you know, started to bring up the whole, you know, the grey areas, whereas in between Dredd's black and white, you know, you got to shoot this guy, and then she's realised she's done it and figured out, fuck.
And then suddenly he's in contact with his family, basically.
Yeah,
well, he shouldn't have done it. No sympathy.
Thank you, Dredd.
Yeah, you bastard. They absolutely nail the catchphrase.
Yeah.
This time around.
This is
how he taps into the PA system on the return to her, and then basically just says, you know, Mama's not the law, I'm the law, you know. And then he just says what does he say to her at the end? And as for you, judgment time.
Yeah.
And so he's basically telling her, fucking look out, I'm on my way up. And I thought, again, like throwing that guy off the edge in front of her, was kind of like, he was basically just sort of saying to her, no matter what you throw at me, I'm still coming.
Yeah.
You get that sense again that she's shitting her pants because she's thinking this guy is just not going to go away. He's not just going to give up and go, right, stuff it, we'll leave.
Yeah.
I've got some question marks on why you'd carry that bloke around. I'd be finding enough charges to have him killed.
I can't remember which one says you can't convict on 99% or whatever.
Yeah.
Fucking Dredd makes that his business.
Yeah, right.
You're convicted on 10%, you prick.
Yeah.
I guess it's the whole interrogation.
Yeah.
He won't talk, so he's like, you're going to interrogate him, but then, I don't know, fucking
Doesn't he
chain him up
realise that he's
somewhere or-
collateral? He
Well,
realises he's
Dredd's
got
doing a pretty good job when he's flogging the shit out of him. Like,
Yeah, well, I think that
we're starting to get something.
because he's trying to keep him so he can get the info and get everyone else to come in and get Mama, seemingly, but Mama's
No,
like,
because at that stage he doesn't know that he's a bigwig in Mama's thing. Because it's only later on when he realises that's why Mama's trying to kill him is because they've got that dude.
he doesn't realise that until later.
Yeah.
Which is what I was saying. He's
But again,
carrying him around because he's like, if he talks, I can come back.
But
Shut this shit down or whatever.
some of that stuff just slides into my dislikes because I didn't really see that. And I mentioned this to you before that the whole idea that she ran all the slow mo in Mega City, it was irrelevant. But it had no relevance to anything. It didn't change their plight. They still needed to get
Well, even
out.
if she only ran the slow mo in that tower, pretty significant crime.
Yeah, that's right.
She's murdered. Like,
why does it matter? Why does it matter that you can get like? They got into her stronghold using the other bloke. I mean, to me, Wood Harris is immediately shot in the head.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
See you later.
Anderson's theory earlier on, she's like, you know, this guy's going to be a liability. Should we, but he's thinking she's saying let him go. Just shoot him in the head.
Yeah. As I said, I can find enough trumped up charges.
But he does that to everybody else. Everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, sorry, I'm getting into
Except
dislikes.
the
but
kid.
No one's asking questions after they've been locked in the
See,
complex, right?
I also actually liked raising the stakes by bringing in the other judges, the crooked judges. I thought that was kind of cool because it then put him against someone with a bit more
credibility.
Yeah, a bit more weight in terms of those guys running around the building are all just fucking thugs are getting nailed.
Yeah,
like
see,
two
this is where I think you could have done that within the tower somehow. I'm not going too deep into the judges yet, but that was they were my dislikes.
Up the line,
you're going up, that's
changing
kind
the
of
kind of thugs you were fighting.
Yeah, well, that's what worked in the raid. It's what worked in the raid. It was just a little dude with the
Mad Dog.
But it was different weapons in the raid. You know, you go up a floor and then some prick's got a machete. It's all happening. You know?
I think you could have done it some other way because I didn't. Yeah, I'll go into it later on, but I wasn't a fan of the judges.
I'm with you. Yeah.
Seeing one of those judges get his head blown off with a high X round, that was pretty fucking awesome.
Pretty good.
Yeah, it was interesting.
I like that he had the thing to sort himself out. The
little
healing potion or whatever it was.
The little field dressing.
That reminded me so much of Rambo 3 when Sly does it with the shotgun shell.
Yeah.
Pours all the stuff into himself and then lights it.
Yeah.
So good. There's another we were talking about in the first one, the ID of the gun and stuff, and when Thingo's going to shoot her in the head.
Mate, it really pays off in this time.
It pays off big time. Splatters everywhere, and then you get to see the bloody stump. Yeah, so good.
Oh, yeah, got him. I actually like the fact that she bails him out because he's basically knackered, he's stuffed, and she bails him out, and it takes away that whole indestructible hero who doesn't need anybody. You know, I don't need anyone's help. I just, you're here for the ride. You're not helping me. I'm just cutting a swath and you're just hanging around.
Them getting split up in general worked really well because it gave him the chance to go and cut loose.
Yeah.
And then you had, this... Again, it felt like, maybe you shot at the likes of Stallone and that the girl's been taken, he's going to rescue her. That's it. You're conditioned to think, he's going to charge in and rescue her.
Yeah. But
that doesn't happen at all. As you said, he does get to cut loose for a bit, but then she finds her own way out with her own abilities and ends up coming down, and as you said, proves that, you still need some backup here.
Yeah.
She's not a damsel in distress.
It feels like he's protecting her at the beginning, but she finds ways to help him out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and look, he is at the beginning. There's that whole
she's
thing
stammering before she shoots.
and there's that whole thing where he says, "Are you ready?" You don't look ready.
Yeah.
And then later on, he says, once they finally come together, he says, you look ready.
But in that sequence, once he gets shot through the wall, which by the way does a lot more damage than if you get shot with an armor piercing round through a porcelain tile wall like that, you're going to have a bit more than a little thing that you just pumps through some nanites and actually I was going to say that the fucking did you see it had little particles that look like a silicon
nanites, mate.
But the staple gun thing was pretty cool. He staples it and then it goes whoop, and pulls it together.
Yeah, that was cool.
Bit reminiscent of the Roadhouse patch up sequence.
Oh really?
It all ties together.
It all ties back to Roadhouse. The devil does.
But that other judge that's there, you're with him when Judge Dredd's like, oh wait, that's not what he should be saying, and obviously you find out why. But the guy, he's given it to him for the right reasons.
Yeah, I kind of like that he berates him, but I'm kind of part of
you're wasting your time, dude.
Yeah, why did you stop and berate him and do exactly what he wanted to do?
Yeah, instead of shooting in the face and going, yeah, that's right.
I also love the fact that he has that sort of quick biff over the one of them, and he gets pushed up against the wall, and the guy starts pushed against his
choking him,
and he just goes whack and gives him my right back in the throat. Oh,
because you can see that he's dead, and his whole esophagus is just crushed. And the guy just starts spitting up blood. Yeah, that's
I loved it.
Choke on that.
And my last was giving Mama the slow mo and throwing her out the window.
Yeah, it felt like
through the glass, especially,
and it was satisfying. And when she hits the ground and they have that shot through
the glass,
that was fucking awesome. And blood just goes and just covers up her face.
Yeah,
I thought some of that stuff was excellent. So you're saying that was Alex Garland, not Pete Travis? He's got.
Well, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know the details, but Carl Urban's comment was essentially he directed it. So I don't know. Doesn't sound like Pete Travis didn't fire back, I don't think. And
maybe it was like Cosmatos. It was a fucking gunfire, mate.
Oh, wow. You do the job, I get the credit.
And the residual money from it too.
Yep.
That was my last like. Any other big likes there?
No, that's me covered.
Alright. Dislikes, Matty. This is more your territory.
Well, look, I'm not don't want to be that guy.
Kick off.
But you are that guy.
Okay, so I got a bit frustrated with the whole idea. You've got this psychic who's got this power, pretty significant mutant power, right? And they're gonna throw her into a job where she's probably gonna get shot and killed in the first day. Like, just keep her at the station, mate. Interrogate some people.
Well, I've got another query about this. I had a similar question. If she can sort of use the abilities to the level that we find out she can, look, if I'm finding out I'm going to fail at the academy, I'm jumping into the adjudicator's head and fishing out a couple of answers just to get me over the line. I'd like to say I wouldn't do that, but if this, she's trying to seemingly, this is what she's been working to make the family proud or whatever she was saying she wanted to do.
Yeah.
Just one or two answers will get me over the line by the sounds of things.
It's like
There's only a couple of points.
48%. Come on.
Yeah, I
That's
think
true though. She should be a much more valuable asset than they make her out to
if
be.
you
I'll be
have
like,
those,
I'm going to make you a judge, but you're not allowed in the field.
Yeah.
That's it.
yeah, if you
don't
have
have to
those,
shoot a gun.
if you have those abilities though, whatever tests they're giving you, you're going to display more competence than 47%.
Yeah, that's right.
You'd think so.
Unless they're required to be a judge, you got to get a 90 passing grade or something like that. But even then,
But
gotta
don't
know
tell me
where the
Judge
bullets are
Dredd's
coming
getting a
from.
90. Come on, Dredd's getting a 55 if he's lucky.
And I've got to say, her knowledge of like the penal code seemed to be on point. Every single time he hits her up, what do you do here? She's gone this, and this.
Whereas Dredd's like, I didn't know that.
You're actually alright.
We're giving her a bit more credibility.
His idea of the penal code is just...
Yeah, I'll shoot you in the face.
yeah, the academy they were saying she was better than that big bloke who could hardly speak. He just stood there and said, "I am the law." Let him through. Surely we'll let her through.
He didn't know the penal code from his ass. He had a great catchphrase, so then he threw.
Now that guy was a dildo.
I can understand that she doesn't want to wear a helmet for her psychic abilities.
Yeah,
But...
There's
Yeah,
plenty
yeah.
of lead flying around. I think I'll put the helmet on.
Or how about having a less conspicuous, bright blonde...
wig.
But also, wear the helmet in the gunfights, and then maybe take it off and hang it from your back or
or
something.
get a, I don't know, surely there's a modified helmet that we can
Yeah.
work with here or something.
His line about
Clearly
the
it
bullet
was-
to the head was
Yeah,
pretty
that was funny,
It's like
yeah.
the helmet would interfere with my psych abilities, and I think a bullet to the head would interfere.
Yeah. I think,
spot on.
clearly that was the whole, she's the emotional connection and
Yeah.
but it did not make sense at all for the for the context.
Look, I wasn't having much of the Lawmaster motorbikes. They look too boxy for my liking.
were
I prefer the Stallone motorbikes.
Yeah.
Also useless, but
These ones were.
But they didn't fly.
But it was, if Stallone was in this movie, he'd been saying, "I need backup. We're still $20 away from Peachtree Towers."
yeah, apparently my motorbike is currently now functioning. No, but you know what? This is purely aesthetic. The thing looked like a bloody box. It was shit. No, I wasn't having
I
it.
agreed.
Judge Dredd should not be riding around on something so average.
Speaking of peach trees, not many peaches around and not many trees. It just reminded me of White Man Can't Jump. There ain't no views there. There ain't no views. There ain't no this or no views. There's definitely no peach trees in the vicinity.
No, not at all.
There's an episode of Doctor Who, Paradise Towers, and it was this weird complex sort of like this thing. But that's what it reminded me of.
Paradise definitely not in the area.
Doesn't really fit in.
I don't know if it was just my thing, because I was listening on like a surround sound. Really tough to hear a lot of dialogue.
Yeah, I had to jack it up.
The sound mixing, we had it loud, so the explosions were like really happening, and the dialogue, especially if there was other things going on in the background, like we're in the atrium and stuff like that. Really tough to hear, so that was a bit spatchy, but it might have been just my version too.
Oh, look, I think that was probably Pete Travis's fault. I'm not mistaken.
He snuck into post-production and turned them.
Yeah, he did like a Richard Stanley on Dr. Moreau, and he wore a fucking mask and turned up on set and hit around the
I'm a ghost.
Oh, God.
I hated the drug, by the way. I was like, man, if you're going to slow down time to a point where it's like, what is it? They feel like it's like
1 to 100.
They said 1%. It was quicker than 1%.
That sounds horrible.
But if you, I don't know.
Depends what you're doing.
Do you want to spend that much longer?
If you're feeling like shit and you're taking a drug to not feel like shit, do you really want it? You want to you slow down your viewing like shit.
What you want to do is you want to take it, then you want to wake up in the morning on the come down and fucking wreck your house and rip the place apart and shit on the ground and all that sort of stuff. Like that's.
I don't know, but it didn't.
I just felt like it was
sort of an augmented reality as well. Like everything went really
like when she was
vivid.
playing with
and the colours were really vibrant and all that.
I've got to say,
I
there's
just
a
felt
lot
like
of drugs
it's-
people use now that you got to question why you would use them if that's what they do to you, and people still use them. So
Yeah, that's fair enough. It pissed me off though. I was like, that's just an excuse to slow-mo the footage.
well, that was a good thing. Plus, the actual judges look like a lava lamp.
I'm with you, Maddie, on Mama. I just did not feel the intimidation factor.
How is she
I mean,
in charge of anything?
They had that sequence where she's holding the bloke who sort of runs all the cameras and everything.
Yeah.
And she's
Just
holding
like,
the knife
give
to
me a
his
minute.
guts.
Yeah.
And an intimidating sort of tactic.
This is after she gouged out both his eyes, though, so you
and
can
then
understand why he'd be upset.
Yeah, but when they're saying, we're going to run the drill, so we're going to lock everything down. But I'm just thinking there was just no intimidation there. Like I'm thinking he's supposed to be shitting his pants, but I didn't really.
I thought
get it.
he's the only one that should be scared
I thought an acting performance.
Yeah,
I thought
the
she
acting was
fine.
okay, yeah.
She was good, but
She
the
didn't look
character was just run of the mill. Like it
Yeah.
didn't.
She was
give
a
you-
prostitute who'd been slashed up, and now she was running a
yeah.
fucking massive drug operation.
It didn't look right.
I expect a guy in a white linen suit.
But they didn't have any. They didn't have any scenes, any sequences that really established her intimidation.
Yeah.
Didn't have any sort of Pando-like scenes where she's playing chess.
Did a triple word score on fucking Scrabble. That really established.
She didn't have
her.
any intelligence to back up her.
No, she was
status
just
in the
brutal, that's all it
Well,
was.
Yeah.
now that you mention Pando, that's what I mean. He didn't have any scenes where he beat anyone up or he threatened anyone early on. He came across in two hands as a bit of a dildo. Sorry.
That's like 5 times we got that in, so to speak.
But when there's those couple of sequences where he turns on the intimidation,
Yeah.
and you could feel it. And it's not the acting performance here. I'm not saying her
I
performance.
feel
is
like
up
she
to scratch,
could have done it, but she didn't.
but
have
she
the
wasn't
scenes to
given
do it.
anything. Like
Yeah.
even just that turn of that vocal turn or whatever that sort of says, "Holy shit, she's fucking
Yeah.
pissed off now." Because in that bit where Wood Harris brings Anderson back and starts going, "What are we going to do to you?" and she's like, "You're not going to do anything," and that's supposed to be that intimidation factor.
Yeah, but she was always at that
She just
level.
brings
She was- in fact,
brings
she was
everybody
an idiot.
on to heel.
She was dumb. They said, "Do you want us to get people from floor 60 down to 80? We'll get 80, 60 up to 80, and we'll get them all to just come after him on this one floor." She's like, "No, let's get the miniguns out." Like,
Yeah.
she was like the opposite of somebody who should be in charge.
Yeah.
Didn't like her.
Yeah,
Yes,
true.
someone's there going, "This is a bad decision. We've got it. We've got to get her out of the way and sort this."
Plus, the teeth thing bugged me more than it should have. It was like she was supposed to be a fucking Popeye character with spinach stuck in her teeth the whole time. Like, I get that she's probably a user of drugs at some point, but the facial scar was enough of a degradation of what she was before. You don't need to have green teeth what she's been eating chalk.
I had a flash of the Gary Larson cartoon where the woman's in the Popeye on the dating scene, it was called. And he's in the car with his bird, and he's there going, he's got some shit in his teeth. And she's like, "Is that fucking spinach in his teeth?"
It was just really distracting. She's
Initially,
trying to be serious.
I couldn't see them. Initially, for the first half of the movie, she doesn't open her mouth, so you can't actually see them.
At the end, it's like she's got a mouth
Yeah,
guard
and
in
then
and
she
they're
goes
out.
like that, and it's like,
Yeah. It's distracting. If
To
something
their,
like that's
to their
distracting,
credit,
it's
though,
failed.
there's few things that are scary to me as a set of choppers that look like that. So.
And my last one was, as I said before, I am finding some charges and just shooting Wood Harris in the head in 5 seconds after we came across him. Like, he is it's just like that silly manoeuvre that Dylan has in Predator. Oh, we better take
Hang
her
on,
with us.
be very careful here, mate. Don't say bad things
we
about
better
Dylan.
take her with us. We shouldn't. Let's just
Yeah.
leave her behind. Right?
Yeah.
Same sort of thing here. But in this case, the miniguns were going off and he walked into them.
Yeah.
Like, you don't even have to shoot him. You can just push him out in front of
Yeah.
all the
Just a
hail
little bit more to the
bullets.
side. Say she threw him. What do you like? Yeah, no, it's stupid.
No one's checking it out. Like, no one's going, Dredd, did you...
Well,
more
mate,
force
the
than
body
you
count,
can
you're
do that?
playing the odds. They said Dredd told Anderson early in the movie we can get to 6% of crimes. I'm playing the odds that that's going to be one of the 94% that doesn't get looked at.
Mate, there's probably 1,000 people dead in the high rise, or probably more.
Exactly.
I don't think they're going to be losing sleep over one dude.
The homeless guy got squashed by the fucking door. Surely you could cook something up there. This guy's corpse.
He debased himself. He's not.
There's a lack of value for life.
He was in the middle of debasing himself, so they dropped the doors on him.
There's a massive lack of value for life of everyone in this movie. Like, they say at the beginning, they give you a stat, 1 in 5 judges are going to get killed in their first day on the job.
Yeah.
And I was like, straight away, again, that pulled me out, because nobody's going to be doing this job.
Yeah.
If you know you've got a 20% chance of dying on the first day.
Yeah,
Like,
well,
how are any of them surviving more than a month?
Well, this is what, to me, this is what fed into why I didn't like the corrupt judges. Because I felt like I can buy that if doing that judge's role takes you out of what the rest of the city is. It's just like, this is your ticket, you're looked after, you've got everything you need if you're a judge.
Yeah.
So if you're going to take on those odds, you're going to be almost incorruptible because that's where the power
That's
is.
where the
That's where
value
all
is.
the power is,
Yeah.
right? So it was kind of it was an imbalance of that. And I just felt like I don't really have a problem with there necessarily being a judge that could be corrupted, because obviously you get power,
get money.
There's the obviously power is going to corrupt some people, right? So I can go with that. But the fact that 4 guys march in there and it's just that easy for her to say call 911, and four judges roll in just like that, I'm like, nah, that was too easy.
Well, I think they're ones that she had on speed dial that were in her pocket, but
Yeah,
still.
of course, that's what I mean. Like, I know that was just her line, call 911, to sound cool, and she got these judges she already had in her pocket, but it just felt too easy.
I did
to
like
get
that
4
bit where, like,
judges. So as you said, it just
paramedic
adds
comes
to
out.
this. It just adds to this thing of like, if 1 in every 5 judges is going to die one day in, if they're that easy to turn, like, the judges would be powerless.
Yeah.
Absolutely powerless.
Yeah. He even
So-
tries to explain it when they're in that kitchen scene and he's talking to him about the meat grinder.
Yeah.
And in that point, it's
We're
kind
just
of...
turning the handle.
Yeah, it's kind of like, it sounds like they're on, like I was saying to Maddie before, like, you know, you do this job, you're like a police officer, you're probably on 50 grand a year, and then at the end of it, you got to walk out into the fucking desert. Where's the incentive? It's
So
just...
that's the thing. And I mean, I don't know how this plays out in the comics. I don't know the established lore of that sort of stuff, but just on this movie on its own, it just didn't seem right. It just didn't seem like, you would do it.
Yeah, I did love that sequence though where the paramedic comes out.
I saw everything.
Yeah, saw everything, mate. He didn't do it. Are you prepared to swear on that? Of course.
Yeah, see you, mate.
Blow his head off.
I had another one too. We mentioned before when he did the hot shot thing, and I'm like, maybe he's not a master of strategy. Just hoping that Mama's transmitter for the bomb for the top 50 floors of the thing doesn't have the range to get back to the bomb. He dead said gambled 50 floors worth of people's lives.
The whole building, because it would have collapsed.
Well, she said it was. But she said like at least the top 50 will
least
go.
the
But then it would have collapsed and destroyed everyone underneath.
Probably.
Which is what she
and he's
said,
like, I guess this transmitter probably doesn't have enough range. Throws her off. Like at that point, you're like, geez, I fucking hope you're right, champ.
That's
It's
all-
not a strategic move.
That thought, like, I would have thought he would get, even Anderson would just like look at him and kind of nod to say, yeah, what you're thinking is going to work or something. But he didn't.
That she'd done it,
And I was kind of like-
shined on her or whatever.
The whole
and
scene was silly because he gambled, number one, but then the way that she was taken down, that the gamble worked. Mama's plan did not cover many bases. The only bases covered, Mama's plan only covered, yep, Dredd's going to turn around and walk out.
She actually says to him, "You've got no way out of this." It's like, yeah, he definitely does. He's got like 5. Yeah, it's pretty poor. Oh, like the only way he could possibly fail that is just shoot her dead in that one set, like right there.
He shoots her dead. That's the only way things go wrong.
If he walks over there and just takes her in, she's fucked.
He says, you know, even like given that he proved that her, you know, what the thing range on the thing wasn't very good, he could have marched her down the stairs and it still worked.
That's what I mean. He could have just gone and grabbed her and dragged her out of there.
I think we're really digging into that. But it's true. I mean, the strategy, and yeah, look, she wasn't the sharpest tool in the shed, let's be honest.
Yeah. But neither was he. That's my point. Like, if she goes over there, she fucking hits the bottom and dies, and she's got an upgraded transmitter. Everyone's fucking dead.
Yeah, I was expecting a little more of a rationale. From one side of you.
He's like, oh, cool, really? Through the window.
I think the technology is very good in this movie, though. The reason being they override the whole security system with like a hard drive.
Yeah, just plug it in.
They just plug it in.
Hey, Domhnall Gleeson had computer eyes, mate. He was switched on.
That's why it was so annoying. No, I hated that character. Like,
but he's obviously an Alex Garland kid, because he's in Ex Machina and stuff as well.
If I'm that bloke, by the way, if I know that Mai's threatening me, I'm going to be leaving a few doors active and a few
help him out.
An elevator that works, like
because clearly she hasn't got all the technological angles covered, as we've seen at the end. So if he says, "Oh, it wasn't me that left the door open," she's going to take him. She's
the person in the office. It's like, my mouse isn't working. Can you
he's like he's one.
Then you plug it in.
He's like the one dude who seems indispensable because he does everything on the computers and no one else touches them.
But he looks like he's had like 1,000 coffees before he woke up.
He should be pulling the Master Blaster thing and telling her, I run Bay Street down. Get on the PA, tell everyone.
That's all I had for dislikes.
Yeah, that was all I had.
What about? I was sure you were going to bring up the whole biting the dick off as the.
No, that's a great scene.
I thought you'd be offended by that.
No, why? I'm offended by the look on her face when she does it, but it's still spot on.
I thought that was a bit uncomfortable.
Oh, are you talking about when Olivia Thirlby's in there? Or are you talking about Mama initially when they say that she bites off her pimp's
No.
jump?
Yeah, I was talking about the...
when they, like...
His mind,
the rape thing.
And then she looks up and he looks down and it's Mama.
It's like, I'm thinking weird sexual things. I've got power over you.
Yeah, that bit was a bit uncomfortable, but...
I didn't like that at all.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
Some of that was a bit untidy. But yeah, it was only there for a few seconds.
He's supposed to be a bad guy and she can read his mind. That's what bad guys are probably thinking about.
And what I'm thinking is put a bullet through his mind and that'll get rid of it quicker. Any other dislikes here?
No, I think we've dissected them quite well.
Alright. Well, let's get into the weeds a little deeper between the two films before we give our scores. I'm just going to chuck a couple of things out there. And we've got to decide on which of the films wins that category.
I can guess.
First thing, running time. Judge Dredd's 96 minutes. Dredd is 95. Dredd is the winner because it's 1 minute shorter.
And it's like Judge Dredd feels like 2.5 hours. It's a slog.
If the quality of Judge Dredd was better, it would have won. Dredd.
Okay, budget. Judge Dredd between 70 and 90 million.
Oh.
In 1995 dollars, so in today's dollars about 150.
Fuck.
And Judge Dredd was 35.
Yeah.
Today's dollars probably about 40 something. Surely the winner is Dredd.
Yes.
I mean, you get a hell of a lot out of 35 million. I mean, because they take the approach of making it more closed down.
Yeah.
But it works.
More contained.
I mean, is that what you get for 70 to 90 mil? You get Judge Dredd.
Well, it's like
It went
20,
on
didn't
to
he?
the costumers and the...
Some of the effects were decent, but as I was saying before too, like where they're trying to do more with less in this one, some of those slow-mo scenes, if you stop and actually have a look at the sparkle, they're dead set little white stars.
Yeah,
like
it's
a bit
not
patchy.
as good when you look closely at it again.
You got to just
I
take
think
the whole
there's
thing
some
in.
3D rendering in some of that too, because they did a post conversion, didn't they?
I don't know.
I think they did
know
post
the details on that one.
Okay, box office. Judge Dredd made 113 million worldwide, 34 million in the US. Had a $12.2 million opening, which was fifth for that weekend, which in today's dollars is 20.5 mil, and it was on 2,200 screens. Dredd made 41 million worldwide, 13 of which was in the US, and its opening weekend was 6.2 million.
That's criminal.
Which is why we don't have a sequel.
But it's also super R-rated too.
Yeah, and it was on 2,500 screens. I think Judge Dredd wins by a hair there because essentially it's about... they both made money. They went past their budget, but Judge Dredd made more, I guess.
I just remember when Dredd came out, I kind of don't remember when Dredd came out because there was nothing about it.
Yeah, they basically buried it.
I
Yeah.
remember
Yeah.
the poster. Like the,
Yeah, but
I actually got
Travis
to it.
again, mate.
I actually got to it at the cinemas, but it didn't last very long at all.
No.
Like, just
Just came and went real quick.
And yeah, essentially, that's all the talk is. Like Alex Garland basically said it's a failure because we didn't make money, and if they make another one, it probably won't be with us because we didn't make the money. And but I would think, hopefully, the life that it's had after that has kind of continued to sort of build, and it'll get.
Yeah, it's one of those ones with a
something
bit of a cult following sort of thing now because it's definitely more what it should be.
Yeah.
Okay, the cast and star power.
Well, Judge Dredd.
Judge Dredd, you had Stallone, Rob Schneider, Amanda Sante, Diane Lane, Max von Sydow. Dredd, you had Carl Urban, Olivia Thirlby, Lena Headey, and Wood Harris. Both have good casts, but Judge Dredd's obviously better from a star perspective because Stallone.
Yeah,
a name.
if
Was
you
a
go
huge
star
name.
power, you got to go Judge Dredd. But when I was thinking about just these performances, and you were reading that list, I was like, yeah, minus,
Well-
minus, plus, minus.
Well, basically, the next one is acting.
Dredd, yes.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a no-brainer. Like, Judge Dredd is just so all over the map, and the performances are just. I mean, Amanda Sante.
I was laughing at respected actors a lot in Judge Dredd. I laughed at Jürgen Prochnow. I laughed at Max von Sydow. I laughed a lot at Amanda
So
Sante.
you did. You loved Amanda Sante.
I didn't laugh at Rob Schneider.
Yeah, so Dredd definitely the winner on that front.
I reckon people were probably following the direction too for Judge Dredd.
Yeah.
As sad as it is,
Yeah,
bad though.
and the next that comes to the next one, direction.
Yeah,
Dredd is far more compact. The action scenes work because they're smaller and nicely kind of contained.
And as you said, they do a couple of things, memorable things like the slow-mo,
Yeah.
and bullets firing normal speed.
They actually give it some
because it's
some
contained,
pep,
it
mate.
makes sense for
Yeah.
going to A to B.
Yeah.
Contained, more creative in that sense. I mean, it still had a couple that were, the minigun stuff wasn't all that impressive, him running away from it and people getting mowed down in the background. It was, but you had more sequences that were more enjoyable and more...
And Judge
And a bit more
Dredd,
tension.
I just think that the
Judge
action
Dredd.
scenes were just flat, mate. Like, I mean, the whole film was flat, but the action scenes, you in a shit film like that, give me some life when they're blowing things up, at the very least, and it didn't even do that. So, Dredd the winner there. Special effects, this is an interesting one because
For based on
I would teeter closely on the fact that Judge Dredd could potentially have that because
Yeah.
from a film that age, we're talking 25 years ago,
Yeah.
a lot of the effects actually still stick.
Yeah, other than the bike chase
Yeah.
scene, everything else was pretty good.
And
I'd go-
especially the mechanical stuff, it all looks pretty cool.
I would go Judge Dredd for sure. Even some of the
Weird
shots
clone.
of the city occasionally still hold up.
Yeah.
And as you said, it was 25 years ago. They got the value for the money. Dredd obviously had to do it on a lower budget nowadays, but the stuff like the blood spatter and things like that just show. And there's a couple of shots where they're standing and then they go, they show the shot of the tower or something, and it clearly looks computer generated.
Yeah.
Just a couple of times where it's like,
And I think you
cracks
pointed
show.
it out, when you freeze on some of that stuff,
Oh yeah, it's rough.
it's rough. If you let it go, you can see, you let it slide, you don't see it, but then if you freeze on it,
they
you're
don't
like,
overuse it. They just use it where they need to tell the story, I guess.
Okay, let's go around the room. Scores. Judge Dredd, out of 5. Gibbo.
1.5.
1.5. I'll join you on 1.5. Jared.
I went at 2.
2.
there too.
Oh, I thought you were going to get 2.5. I was going to say, get out of here, you dildo. That's 6. Dredd.
3.5.
3.5. I've gone for 4.
Ooh.
Yeah,
I've
3.5.
really liked it.
3.5.
2.5.
Holy shit!
It's the same score.
Look, I don't want to see it again.
It's a tough watch. It is.
You got a lot of X on the beach to watch and things like that.
And do you know what? Probably the worst thing that I did, I watched half of it, went away, and then came back and watched the second half. I didn't watch it all as one movie. So I was thinking about those things that irritated me.
Yeah.
And then when you don't have
more in the second half, when you've digested some of those and you're just like, I'm already pissed off, and then you go and watch the second half, it becomes harder.
There's a half point between the first turd and that one, though. I'm not mad at you 2.5. I'm more mad at you 2.
Then you go a little lower on the first one.
Yeah,
I think, do you know what?
It is niche too. Like if you're not into that action and you're not into that kind of gritty, kind of
brutal stuff too.
Violent stuff.
Like I said, Riley was watching. I was uncomfortable for her.
The majority of that was in the background too. Like so much of it, there was people just being
mowed down left and right
in the background.
I don't mind it. But I just reckon it could have been done so much better with the concept that they had. Not that I've got better ideas that I can say you should have done this.
Well, here's an idea.
I just could have been more.
Here's an idea. Imagine how good Dredd would have been if the Angel Gang was on one of the floors. That's all I'm saying. Just think about that. Take it home.
Save it. Let's start scripting next week.
Yep.
Yeah, so basically,
mutants in this for sure.
The winner is Dredd.
Yes.
In a canter, really. So if Judge Dredd has been the loser in this battle.
Well, by a nose if you're mad.
By a nose hair.
I was laughing all through Judge Dredd. I really.
If Judge Dredd is the loser in this battle, what is the punishment?
Death.
I'm going life without parole, so Stallone can stare in the mirror and work out what he's done wrong.
Life with Judge Dredd on repeat.
And watch guy sitting next to you.
Yeah.
Oh, with noodles on his head. Gotta say, the life in an ISO cube, that's a dark ending, isn't it? Like, you're going just stuck in a little box by yourself forever.
Yeah, that
can't be good for you.
That's not good, no. No, that's not good at all.
His work in Benchwarmers was a lot better, Rob Schneider.
Well, Rob Schneider. Look, I still get laughed at him when it's Du Spiegel for some reason.
As I said, it wasn't Schneider's fault.
Yeah, absolutely.
He should have been in the movie.
Nobody should be hanging Schneider out to dry because essentially the movie didn't give him anything to do. He's just
no opportunity for character growth in that.
I mean,
even the opportunities for laughs.
He's not even second banana.
As you said, he had to just yell out.
Dredd. They're just yelling at each other, and it's so ridiculous that you.
And occasionally, Snyder gives us sort of a macho line while Snyder was just yelling about Dredd, look out, and then Stallone would drop some sort of macho line in there. So yeah, it's not his fault. Yeah. Okay, some of it's his fault. Look. That is the Judge Dredd films. We're on Podomatic, iTunes and Spotify. Send us an email at thrillme@iinet.net.au. We're on Facebook at Thrill Me Podcast Australia, Podomatic at thrillme.podomatic.com, and Instagram at thrillmepodcastau. Keep an eye on the Facebook page for details of our next film. But until then, take it easy and we'll catch up with everyone later. Cheers.
Find the podcast at Podomatic or on iTunes. Don't forget to rate and review. Like us on Facebook at Thrill Me Podcast Australia or contact us at thrillme, all one word, all lowercase, at iinet.net.au.